So OECD upgrades to Australia's outlook but flags vaccine rollout as a risk to our economic recovery.
Yeah, Peter, good morning. An unexpected piece of news, I suppose, on both counts, but it does really underline both the pace of the recovery, which has been phenomenal, and also the risk. The upgrade of economic forecasts really go up to the level it already were basically outlined by the RBA and Australian Treasury. So again, no surprise there. But the vaccine rollout is the big watch out. Of course, we know Victoria going through a lockdown right now. That's potentially the risk of more to come if and when we don't get the vaccine rollout under control. And of course, just like the India story you talked about, although thankfully much less impactful here, the real risk is if we can't get back to normal as quickly as possible, that economic growth is particularly threatened.
And on to the problems in Victoria. We've got another shutdown. It's the fourth in the last 18 months or so. And now there's calls for JobKeeper to be reactivated in Victoria. Government kind of keeping an arm's length at this for now, but what do you think might be needed in this situation, Scott?
Gee, it's tough, isn't it? Look, I mean, I was on record before JobKeeper finished to say that keeping it in some form, particularly with tightened criteria, where it applied to certain industries, and in this case, certain geographies, might have made some degree of sense. That is where it's particularly impacted for tourism, education in, before the current lockdown, and or for Victoria in general. Think about the CBD, think about hospitality in particular, transport, tourism, those areas that are simply getting no business at all, let alone some in the regional areas getting more takeaway business, for example. These are really important ones. And as you say, the fourth lockdown in 18 months, there's plenty of small businesses saying, you know what, I just can't keep going. This, the straw that breaks the camel's back is not far away, both for the businesses and their employees as well. The ones that have kept on because they desperately wanted to try and do the right thing, but now find themselves really scraping the bottom of the barrel cash flow-wise. It's a really tough one. I do think to some degree, the extent we've spent more than $100 billion propping up the economy, to have it falter and potentially fail on the back of, wanting to spend a little bit more, you don't want to throw good money after bad, but by the same token, you don't want to waste all that good work and let some businesses go to the wall simply because we're not prepared to give them just a little bit extra for a few more days or weeks if this lockdown is extended.
Okay, onto the ASX. Scott, it's up 1.9% in May. That's the 12th consecutive monthly rise for our markets. Good for investors.
It's remarkable, isn't it? This does underpin the economic recovery story as well. 12th consecutive rise, as you say. Now, of course, that's not overly surprising, I suppose, coming out of what was a terrible March and April last year. But when you get 12 straight months of gains, it really does talk to the pace of the recovery, the confidence in the economy, consumer and business spending and investment, jobs, hiring. It's in one number or one set of numbers really does encapsulate the spectacular recovery of the Australian economy. It's a really good news story, particularly if you held your shares, of course, during the pandemic. We were talking about that at the time. But it is very much a case of making sure that we don't lose that momentum. The share market can go anywhere. Of course, we saw Nuix fall another 18% yesterday. So it's been a heck of a ride for some shareholders. But just a reminder that the economy does recover, markets do recover. Keeping a long-term perspective is the right approach.
Okay, Scott Phillips, always good to see you and chat. We'll talk to you soon.